to the first of hopefully many Brock0Clock. Well, I don't know what to call it. We just call him Streamcast. If you've been on the channel, you know us. I'm Brock. We got Josh here.
Hello.
And since it's our first one, we'll just jump right into it. We're not going to take comments. I'll have a comment section open, and if you guys can see, too, I'll have the web page open sometime. So that's going to kind of be the format for this. So we'll have, right now we don't have Josh on webcam, so it's just going to be me. You'll see me on webcam. We'll talk about some things. You'll just hear his voice, and then, if I want to reference stuff, I've got the internet ready here to go, as you can see. Like, we'll talk about the Logan Paul thing that happened, which is a little bit of old news now. And we'll try to do this every 2 weeks. So, Josh, how have you been doing?
I've been doing okay.
Have you been watching anything or playing any games or something?
I've been mostly watching a lot of movies recently. I haven't really been watching a lot of TV. I haven't just been kind of feeling an itch to watch a lot of old movies that I haven't watched for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mostly stuff like old Marvel movies, like from back when they first started making them, and then having the MCU start coming out with all the connections and whatnot that they were doing.
Yeah, I actually, that was something that I had started from the beginning, but then I fell out of it when Thor came out because I hated Iron Man 2, and then I didn't watch MCU stuff until Guardians, and then I caught up on everything and stuff. Anyway, I've been watching Squid Game. I just told you that before we started, but me and Dinah have been watching that. I've been playing some games, but since the kids were just born, I've had a little less time, but I've still found a lot of time to play them, but I'm just trying to balance some things, so.
Yeah, what episode are you on?
We're on, I think we just got to 8.
Oh, damn. You've been really
next
just
to me, so I can ask
blasting through it.
Well, yeah. Anyways, let's just get started. We'll go into the Logan Paul thing. I know when you said something else, and once again, this is a little bit old news. So this, I'm seeing articles from December 28th. So actually, this is a little older, little more than 2 weeks. He did respond to it, which I might click on that in a minute, even though I hate comicbook.com. But if you didn't see, Logan Paul, he basically he made a wall thing where he put a bunch of Game Boy Colors.
I thought it was a table.
Is that what it? Oh, is it on a table? I saw the video of him doing it, and he basically just I get a picture here. It actually looks really nice. I admit.
So my question for that is
there it is.
I didn't actually read too much into it, but I know people were pissed off about it. Did he have any games in the systems at all, or did they?
Not
just,
that I
buy
know
a
of.
bunch of old systems. Did they even work?
Assumedly, they worked before. I think most people assumed that now that he this picture that he did it. Oh, I just lost the little page. Sorry, guys. But I think most people assume that he quote unquote destroyed a bunch of Game Boy Colors, which is, I think that's safe to assume. At first when I had heard it, I'll just give my take. When I first heard it, I was like, wow, what an asshole. And then I really thought about it. I was like, you know what? I admit what he made is actually really cool. I will say that. It's really cool. I wish I personally I wouldn't use a bunch of Game Boy Colors, especially since some of the models he used were really expensive.
Yeah.
But at first I was because as a game collector, I was like, wow, that's really fucking ruining it. And then you think about it, and I'm like, there is how many millions did the Game Boy Color sell?
At least 60.
Yeah.
60 million.
I think that if he were I took this Game Boy Color copy of Shantae and I ruined it, then I'd be like, wow, what an asshole. That's tone. That would be pretty tone deaf in regards to the fact that game is so sought after, the original version, that is. But when I really thought about it, I was like, it looks cool. I give him that. And I will say this, though. It just goes to show that a lot of, not that Logan Paul didn't grow up. I'm sure he did, but a lot of rich people don't necessarily care about some of the value of that stuff. They just kind of like care about some shape or form of like bragging about how they have it. I'm not saying, once again, I'm not even saying that he's bragging, but he's certainly like, oh, look at me, I like had all these Game Boy Colors. I was able to come up with some of the expensive models and I put them on a wall and whatever. But anyway,
Yeah, I personally, in my opinion, I would say that like I would have went a different route with it as opposed to like using actual systems. I would have potentially like bought some like shells or something
yeah.
and like put fake screens and buttons in as opposed to like actual working systems because at least then you still get the look for the table, but you're not like kind of ruining some of the stuff
Right.
that
That's how
is
I felt
there.
about it too. As I was just like, I personally wouldn't have done. But that's the thing. See, you and I, we have a different take. Especially like, we collect a lot of games, especially old games too. Like we have this
Hmm.
take of like, wow, those are sacred. Like, but okay, I'm looking at the numbers here. This is just Wikipedia, so take that as you will. 32 million units in Japan, 44 in the Americas, and 42 million in other regions. So this thing sold over 100. I'm not too worried about it. It's not. You can go on eBay and find Game Boy Colors all over the place, but
I guess it would depend, like, because I know that there's like however hundreds of millions of those there are, but how many of them are like these specific ones?
yeah. And I'm not. Let me try to look up. I can't. I don't know the models. I have the picture. So he has.
Here, I'm gonna try looking one up. It looks like there's a Game Boy Color that's modeled after an N64.
He has. Maybe I can get this on screen too. I'm trying to find a good picture of it. He got a lot of shit, and I was just like, oh, I mean, I don't. Here's a decent little picture of it. I can put that on my screen too, but. And I don't know. Some of these like might be custom. Like I don't recognize all of these.
Yeah, I'm not
So
I'm not actually recognizing that one that I'm trying to find a picture of
yeah.
where it's got like the blue D-pad with the red and green
But he
buttons.
definitely has like I can see the Pikachu one. I know that one is expensive as hell.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, like there plenty of them? Yeah, but I don't know if I wouldn't have done. It's not my thing, I guess. But I couldn't, especially when you consider some of the past stuff, which we have never put on stream because it's our first stream that Logan Paul has done. I was like, wow, this is pretty tame. People are pissed. And I was like, hey, he did respond. I can read that real quick. He said. It looks like he defends himself. He says, "Go on eBay right now. There's 60.9 million plus of them."
$60 plus. There's $60 and there's 90 million of them. Is what he said.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I misread that. Yeah, there's $60. 90 plus million of them were made. It's not like these are in short supply, and I love them. They mean something to me. I love Pokemon. Of course it's Pokemon, But yeah,
No.
I can't really kill him for that. I just thought it was interesting. Anyways, I don't have a good transition for this one. We'll get better at transitioning as we go on, but
Well, I mean, hey, the thing with him talking about how he loves, you know, Game Boys and Pokemon, it was a good transition to him buying a box of,
oh,
what he
that's
thought
right.
was
Yeah, you
first
said you
edition Pokemon cards
yeah, you
for
said you wanted to mention that. What was the deal with that? I have no idea. So you have to
he.
explain this all to me.
So I just learned about this the other day, but apparently he spent the most money like in history on a what he thought was a box of unopened uh Pokemon. I don't know if it's first gen. It's like first gen, first edition. So like the very beginning Pokemon cards, and he spent like $3.5 million on it. And he made a video talking about how apparently he was scammed, and apparently there wasn't any Pokemon cards in it. It was actually tampered with and replaced with GI Joe trading cards. So
Ugh.
so yeah, he made a video about that, and of course he had like all these fucking professional like card collectors and like all these like really hardcore enthusiasts telling him like, yo, it's probably been tampered with, like you shouldn't do this, and then he buys it and finds out that it's of course been tampered with. So he uh pretty recently there was also news saying he got a refund, so at least there's that, but
Yeah, how
that's
the
still
hell did
such a
that happen?
I don't know.
One of the biggest sports. I'm reading all like as you're telling me right now because I literally just heard about this like an hour ago when you told me. So I lost 3,500,000. What was he trying to buy? What is it he's trying to buy here?
A box of Pokemon cards.
But like, is it old?
I think so. I'm so yeah. So sealed and authenticated first edition Pokemon cards. I don't know what generation they are, but
I'm looking it up to see like how much that would cost. Like a first edition. Like I assume it would be like first edition of like one of the first two packs or something.
I'm not sure. I know that when I was going through some of my Pokemon cards earlier today, some of mine and my brothers, I found some cards that I was like, because they had these like legend variants that had like like you take two separate cards and then it'd be like the top and bottom half would be like the top half would be like the top part of the Pokemon, the bottom half would be the bottom half of the Pokemon, and it'd have like all their effects, and it was like a really cool card. So I was looking at it and I wanted to see if like how much say a pack costed for these specific like versions that I'd have to try and find. And I couldn't find a booster box at all. But and the cheapest I could find a booster pack was like $300. So
yeah, some of them are. Well, the thing about Pokemon cards is they never, they don't. Well, I don't say never because they finally did a couple years ago, and then I think they did it again last year when they did the anniversaries. But they don't reprint their fucking cards, so like they're always like. That's the cool thing about Yu-Gi-Oh cards is like they reprint a lot of them. So like, if I were to go to like, and I'll do it real quick just for an example,
yeah, they have like 50 fucking versions of every single card. That's
right, like
super competitive, super popular.
And I don't know why they don't reprint, but like let's go to the top 100 like on Yu-Gi-Oh! Prices.com. I'm looking at, this is meta relevant cards, so these aren't like weird versions of cards like that they made one of because this guy or like
tournament
or
cards
like world championship cards. Yeah, this is so this website always has like the top prices, right? Like Victory Dragon. Well, I have Victory Dragon. I just don't have that specific one. So there's a way that you can get it, but that's the thing that really sucks about Pokemon cards, and that's why they get so freaking expensive, because they don't reprint these. And I'm like, why don't they reprint? I've never understood that. Like, why would you not? Like, you'll make money. They will make money. Like
that actually, now that you mention that, they did release a couple of booster packs for Pokemon that are celebrations. They call them the celebration packs that have
the ones last year.
Yeah, that had like a bunch of the original cards.
That's what I'm saying. But
but it's very rare that they do it. That might be the only time they've done it.
Right. Well. I guess that's it. Once again, I don't have a transition for I wish they would do that more often. But anyways, do you want to switch over to let's talk about the Xbox 360 server shutting down? I don't have a lot to say on it.
Oh man, yeah.
But
I heard a lot of things happen with that where, there was like a whole fucking brigade of people that got onto the Xbox 360 with their friends at, like the last week before they got shut down, and they were like all doing achievement hunting, trying to get their, their final achievements for like Halo 3 and Halo Reach before the servers shut down for good for those specific versions of the game.
Right. Well, and Halo is one of those games that'll definitely you would say it would suffer from having the servers shut down, but now we have the new versions of them. Yeah, it sucks, but the difference, actually, this is a good lesson for Nintendo. Instead of this being a topic about, oh, how sad is it? Remember when we used to play the 360? Because everybody can say that. How about this? This is a good lesson for Nintendo and Sony. Look how Xbox shut the 360 servers down, and people are like kind of sad about it, but there's no vitriol towards Microsoft themselves. Nobody gives a fuck. Now, if Sony tries to shut down the PS3 servers, remember that they tried to do it and they're trying to make it harder, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of vitriol. It's not bias. There's a reason for that. It's because Microsoft actually cares about game preservation, and they're trying to get as many games on their new console as possible.
Yep.
So when you think about and there's going to be a couple sacrifices. Like, I don't have one off the top of my head. But I'm sure there's a game that's exclusive on the 360 that had some kind of multiplayer functionality, and it has not been ported and will not be ported. Yep, that's just something that people are going to have to figure out how to emulate that said game on PC in the future. And
they've actually done that with a couple of games. I know that people, this is kind of like a weird jump, but it's kind of in the same vein of talking about how it used to be online on this system, but it's not anymore because the system is so old. So people, brought it to PC and modded in like servers that they can play with their friends on. Resident Evil Outbreak is a game that you used to be able to play online really weirdly with other people.
Yeah.
But obviously you can't really do that with PlayStation 2s anymore. So what people have done is they, done just that, where they've modded the game so that you can play it online with your friends on PC, which is really cool. And yeah, like you said, people are going to have to, learn to do that with Xbox 360 games if there's a specific game out there that does that.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's a couple. But that's okay. So like they made sure that their biggest titles were set up in the future, and then they gave other companies, Sega and literally everybody, the opportunity. Sega, do you want to make, I don't know, Sonic and Sega All-Stars backwards compatible? Here's your chance. Now, they did the second game. They didn't do the first one. So if you want to play the old Sonic and Sega All-Stars online, and some people still play it, as you and I found out a couple of years ago when we were playing it backwards compatible, you can, and that's why people don't. It's not as bad. That's really, like, that was my biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway when I heard, they're shutting the 360 servers down, was not, when I heard the PS3 servers were being shut down, I was like, oh my god, there's so many good JRPGs on there that are so expensive now. Arc the Lad, something like Suikoden, the whole series, the Shin Megami Tensei games, any of the old Atlas PS2 games, really, a lot of them are on there digitally and cheaper. Persona 2, Persona 2 and maybe, I think the first one even, I can't quite recall, those games are on there. That's just JRPGs. I could think of a bunch of other different things, a lot of the PS1 games and stuff that are a little harder to play now. But when Microsoft was like, we're shutting the 360 servers down, I was like, I really don't give a fuck. I really didn't care. Obviously, I have fond memories of especially Halo 3, and a couple other games. I'm just like, oh man, my Forge maps or something like that. But overall, I'm just like, we have the Chief Collection. We can recreate that stuff. If we really cared about it, we would just recreate it on the Xbox One version if we want to. And we don't. And I haven't played Prison Break in years, right? So I'm probably not gonna. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
There are some sacrifices, but overall, the important thing, and this is what, once again, it always comes back to this. The important thing. Can you play the game? Did we lose our theater replays? Yeah. Did we lose our some kind of save file, this, that, or... Yeah, but can we play the game on the... Yes, you can. I know that, Phil Spencer is a huge component to pushing Microsoft to, continue with backwards compatibility, and right now, it should be Nintendo, and it could be Sony, but for some reason Microsoft is the leader in game preservation. It's such a blows my mind.
Crazy too.
It blows my mind. Yeah, and they don't even really charge you a whole lot to do it either, right?
No, they really don't.
You just buy their console and they're like, put your game in, man.
Yeah, it's really that easy, as opposed to with the PS5 and PS4. That's the big reason why people were so fucking pissed off when they said they were shutting down the PS3 servers or making it really fucking difficult to buy stuff on it.
Yeah.
Was it's really fucking hard to emulate older games on newer systems for the PlayStation line, because every single time they made a new system, they really just completely changed the system and made it either way more expensive to include pieces that you could, in your system, so you could play backwards compatible games, or you just can't.
Yeah, and I can forgive them for, being like, hey, we wanted to make a new system from the ground up, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, but you find a way to, the Xbox One while it is a 360 upgrade, had a lot of difficulty. They have a really weird way that they figured out how to do backwards compatibility. It doesn't work like the PS3 original version. You just put the disc in and it had a PS2 reader in it. It doesn't work like that, but they found a way. That's the important part. They found a way, and it just, up until this point, it's kind of felt like, and I think maybe they're finally getting on the train. We'll see in the coming. If we'll hear anything, it'd be this year. We'll see if Sony finally makes that leap, because there was some trademarks for PS1, PS2 in the last couple of years, and
honestly, I'm kind of worried that if that I'm hoping that is what they're doing, but I'm also a little bit worried that we're gonna get like PlayStation 2 Classic or like PlayStation Classic Pro or something like that, where they bring back, like how they had the PlayStation Classic, where it was like their fucking PS1 with like all the games that they're like, oh, these are genre defining and like generation defining games, and it's like you get like fucking, what is it, Cool Borders? That would be something that I'm worried about with like those trademarks.
Yeah.
But my hope is that they're like trying to do exactly that, which is like work on backwards compatibility, which would be awesome.
Well, and Sony is doing some kind of Game Pass thing coming out, and they say that it'll have some of those.
I did hear about that too.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be the call. But speaking of game preservation, GoldenEye sounds like it's coming to Xbox. It's been. It might not seem like, especially to younger audience. And by the way, I will remind, if anybody comments, we'll take comments at the end of the streamcast. It's our first streamcast. We'll hopefully do it every 2 weeks. I'm just reminding now before I dip into this GoldenEye thing. So if I see your comments, I acknowledge them. Hi, but we'll take them at the end because it's more of a podcasty thing. We're just doing it live so that people can chat while we do it, because I like that idea. Anyways, GoldenEye, yeah. So, I mean, to the younger audience, it might not seem like a huge deal. And I have some opinions on GoldenEye that people probably don't agree with. I am one of those people who I'm like, I understand how important it is to the console audience, but I also think it's a little overstated how important it is. Nonetheless, I played it when I was a kid. When I played it in high school again, I was like, man, I don't actually enjoy it that much. But it appears that after all these years, like, one of the biggest things with this game, right, was getting it on a modern console and doing it the right way, because they had that like 2000 and I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about the remake?
Yeah, it's not good. And it has Daniel Craig's likeness and that stuff. I won't even look it up, but it's bad. And what people really wanted, was the original GoldenEye. And there was, like, back in the day, because Microsoft, they acquired Rare, and they wanted to have it, and Nintendo has licensing, and I'm sure MGM has it's just a licensing mess of a game. Even in the 90s, it was a licensing mess. That's why they never made like a sequel with that company and all those same players involved, is because of all the licensing stuff you have to deal with when it comes to making this game, James Bond, on Xbox or owned by Xbox later on, and somehow still Nintendo exclusive. So now what do you do, right? But they must have found something. Maybe they just worked it out with Nintendo, because Nintendo and Microsoft, they've had a good relationship the last couple of years, so that this doesn't shock me. But it is crazy to see that after all this time, it's probably coming. The main reason we think it's coming is True Achievements has it listed, and there are people who have gotten the achievements, assumedly developers of the game. But it's an important game. Once again, I think anybody who had a PC at the time would probably saw GoldenEye and they're like, yeah, whatever, because they had games like this all over, like, PC and stuff. When it came out.
Seriously, they did.
And but nonetheless, it is important in terms of game history for being the first exposure of console gamers to like the kind of the 2 to 4 player arena shooter type of thing, and then Halo would basically take it and perfect it and whatever, right? On console, that is, because PC, once again, you had like Unreal and stuff like that. But yeah, it looks like it's finally coming. I don't have much else to say on it. I just thought it was definitely something that I was like, I feel like we have to put this on the podcast because.
Oh well, I did have a question that
Yeah.
I asked you earlier, and you said you'd answer later. So what's with the licensing for that game? Like, why was it so tough, I guess, for
Well,
them to either make it or like try to remake it?
so I
Like,
think
what companies own it currently that they had to like talk to and try to work it out with?
that's a good question. Well, like I said, we know for sure that Microsoft owns Rare.
Yep.
And when this game was developed, it was exclusive to Nintendo 64. Now, that can't be the only problem. There's a couple of reasons we know that. One, there's no reason that Microsoft and Nintendo couldn't work something out where they just put it on both consoles or something. Although, reportedly, if I recall correctly, back in the day, when they were trying to get this, and that's why they settled for the remake that they put on everything, Nintendo was one of the companies who was like, no, you are not putting this on a Microsoft console. That being said, we've had things like Rare Replay out, and Perfect Dark was a Nintendo exclusive, and that's been re-released on Xbox twice, on the 360 arcade and then on Rare Replay. So definitely, like, that can't be the only reason. My best guess, it has to do with James Bond licensing stuff. And one of the other reasons we know about that, you also have to think about, like, Pierce Brosnan. Well, his likeness is in the game, so you have to talk to him, right? Obviously,
I'm
because
looking at the fucking at some of the current licenses that are out there for that, and it's got things like MCM and whatever Dan Jack is, and then Pierce Brosnan too.
Yep. So all
they've
that
got
stuff.
so much they have to try and like work their way through to even potentially make it on a new console.
All that stuff has to come together. So absolutely. So anyways, that's all I had. I don't know if you had anything to add to Goldeneye, but
not really. No,
okay,
I think
cool.
I had my question answered.
Okay. So this might be a kind of a short topic as well. And I see some more people in the stream chat. Since it's the first one, I'll remind after maybe every segment, maybe other segment. We will take comments at the end. If anybody has comments or questions about, some of the stuff we talked about in the streamcast today, we're trying to figure the format out. As for the first one, we're just going to have me and Josh talk the whole time. And I do see you guys. I see you guys in the chat. I see Gunnar. I see Gabe. I saw coworker. I won't say his name, but Darka here. Right. So I see you guys. We'll take comments and stuff at the end if you would like to on anything that we've talked about, or if you guys have any comments, or you can talk amongst each other or whatever. I just thought it would be fun to do a podcast, but stream it live. So anyways, we'll move on to the next topic. And let me get a web page up because this blows my mind, but I'm not surprised. The Nintendo Switch, the illustrious Nintendo Switch, has outsold the Nintendo Wii.
You can bet your fucking bottom dollar that is a big part in due to the fact that the world is in the state that it is now.
Yeah, for sure.
It certainly sped it up. I'm not gonna say that it wouldn't happen eventually, but it sped it up.
Oh, it definitely did. Yeah, it definitely did. Now I'm trying to think, what is the top selling? And I'll get the numbers in a minute. I believe the top 2 selling game consoles of all time are the PS2 and the DS. So somebody
Let's see. PlayStation 2 has sold more than 155 million.
150. Jesus Christ.
And then the Nintendo DS has sold 154 million. That is insane.
Yeah. So I don't and well, I got it up here too per Wikipedia. I assume that's where you're at.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch sale. So it has not been updated here on Wikipedia, but you can see it here, and I'll bring it up for you guys.
Actually, now that I'm here, I actually want to see how far down, like how outdated is this? Where is the Switch on this list?
Good question. Well, the Switch is I just saw it. I just saw it. Where's it at? It's right below the Wii on this list, so it's not super far behind.
Well, actually, it's behind by about 11 or 9 million units on this list right here.
Oh, yeah, but by date, I wonder how far behind by date.
Oh, yeah. Actually, isn't there should be like a last updated January 2022. Wait, really? It was updated today? Interesting.
Well, I think okay. It's definitely not completely up to date. So here I'm on VG Charts, which always has like charts for games and stuff like that. They have counted that in the week ending December 25th, 2021, the Nintendo Switch sold 1 million units, 1.16 to be exact, and it brought the lifetime sales up to 101.88. So that does beat the Wii, which is at 101.63, which I believe should, add up here with the... so this is very behind then. This might not be counting the month of December even, because this says 92 million, so...
Yeah.
Nonetheless, most of these numbers should be fine because these consoles are old, like the PS2 is not still accumulating.
Oh, wait. If you go to the right of the list on the Wikipedia page, it says that the number
November 4th. Okay.
Was November 4th. So this is like 2 months
old. This is before
old.
Christmas. So yeah. Nonetheless, though, like I can tell you right now. First of all, I didn't know if Nintendo was...
Especially given the dates that these consoles were released, is that fucking insane.
Yeah.
2017, 201 million units sold. That's 4 years.
So,
as opposed to 2006, where that's 16 years, and it's sold the same amount.
So I can tell you right now, the Nintendo Switch is going to outsell the PlayStation 1. That is a given. Like it's going to blow that out of the water.
Yeah, no, seriously.
If Nintendo, you know what? No. Hang on. Give me a minute here. It is... I don't know if it'll reach the DS or the PlayStation 2. That is tough.
Yeah, those are the fucking juggernauts of the list.
I can tell you right now, the Switch it's unless I have my numbers are off in my head or I don't actually understand this as much as I think I do, the Nintendo Switch should outsell the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. It should be the third top-selling game console of all time. The main reason is because not only is the Switch only like 4 years in, so you got to imagine it's got a couple years left. So it's going to sell like... Even if it has a month, like let's say there's like 1 month where it sells 100,000. Well, during Christmas time, there's going to be a couple of weeks where it sells like 1 million per week. So we're already talking like definitely beats the PlayStation 1, more than likely beats the PlayStation 4. And if it beats the PlayStation 4, it's not far away from the Game Boy Color. Now, I don't think it's going to do that this year. I do think it'll beat the PlayStation 1 this year. But by the end of its lifespan, make no mistake, this thing is probably going to have at least 120 million, especially since there's a couple of heavy hitters that are still coming out. You got to imagine like Breath of the Wild 2 still hasn't released. Bayonetta 3 still hasn't released. Metroid Prime 4 still hasn't released. This thing is going to sell millions more by the end of its lifespan. It is going to be the third, I'm calling it right now, it's going to be the third top-selling game console of all time. I don't know if it'll reach, I'm not willing to say it'll reach the DS family. We'll see about that. I don't know. That's a little like... That's
getting out there.
Saying that in my head, that the Switch is the top-selling game console of all time, it just makes me kind of go, is that possible? Like but it does blow my mind that it beat the Wii. So, I don't know.
One thing that I do find impressive about this, like even more so than how long it's been, how many it's sold in this amount of time, is the quantity of games that this system has as opposed to other systems. Like PlayStation 2 has how many games to
Oh,
it?
PlayStation. Good. That's a good point. And generally speaking, we see that game consoles that have a bigger library tend to sell more, regardless of quality, as long as they have a couple of heavy hitters. Like the Wii's library, I don't think anybody would say is one of the best qualities of all time, but because Nintendo had the heavy hitters at the start and it kind of carried it the rest of the way through, it got a bunch of sales on top of
Oh
obviously
my
like motion
God.
controls. But
Dude, yeah, the PS2 has over 3,800 games. Like
okay,
that's
yeah,
fucking
it
crazy.
doesn't
And then
surprise
like
me
if
though.
you yeah, and then now let's find out how many games are on the Nintendo Switch. This is probably gonna surprise me. Uh, it doesn't. I can't find it. It's not
Doesn't
letting
say.
me yeah, it doesn't say right now. Is it gonna tell me the number? I don't actually know if people have even like wrote about it yet.
It might. I mean, it definitely has a lot. If you look at everything, like a lot of people are like, give it a Switch port, get this a Switch port, get that a Switch port.
Hmm.
So you know it is one of those consoles that seems to have like, a ton of games in it. But anyways, that's cool. I mean I'm happy for it. It's such a good fucking console, so it deserves it. But I'm trying to find. I forgot to bring it up before we started. But we're gonna move on to this fucking NFT topic.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not killing. So if anybody doesn't realize, there's a lot of companies that are throwing their card in the NFT game. I'm trying to find the quote specifically from the Square Enix one. We'll get to that. I can't seem to find it, so I might have to paraphrase him a little bit. Oh, here it is. So, yeah. So obviously, like, if anybody hasn't kept up, and I'm gonna skip, just so you know, the PSN top downloads for 2021. In case anybody didn't know, it's like Madden and all the sports games. It always is.
Yeah.
Now that I like think about it midstream, I'm like, what's the point of even mentioning it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. And they wonder why they re-release the same fucking game every year because everybody buys Madden. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So, a lot of companies have thrown their hat in the NFT, or their card in the NFT hat there, and as obnoxious as it is, it's it doesn't make me hate companies necessarily. Like, there's a lot of people and companies and stuff who don't necessarily know what NFTs are. A lot of people will start it and then take it back. I think you mentioned the Troy Baker thing earlier. That was yesterday that he was like, "Oh, I have my own NFT," and then he kind of did a 180 on that. I don't know if you saw that today, but because he got a lot of shit. And
That's I do think that's kind of funny how like that's something I see very often recently with NFTs is like with like wrestling, like we saw not too long ago, like they had the NFT thing for like $300 and they sold very little, so immediately they're like, all right, we're not doing that again. And then every time that you hear like Discord was thinking about doing it, and then uh people gave them so much backlash, like, okay, we hear you guys' opinions. We were gonna step back from it, and now Troy Baker's doing it, and he's like, okay, I mean, I see that you guys are screaming at me as well.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just hilarious.
stop.
Everybody who like mentions it, everyone's just like fucking dogpile on this asshole.
Well, and there's a couple of people who there's a couple of voice actors and actresses in the last week, interestingly enough, who did it. He was just the biggest one because I remember seeing about 4 days ago. I can't remember which female voice actress it was, but it was one of she's in the anime kind of crowd and stuff like that, and she was going to do NFT. She did not take it back, I don't think, but a lot of people were like, "Well, I'm disappointed in this character," right? Like they would name a voice that she did or whatever.
Hmm.
But we're seeing that, and then On top of, we'll get to Square Enix in a moment because that's the kind of the big one that came out recently, right? Once again, a little bit of old news now. Troy Baker was the big one yesterday, and then you had Konami. I don't know if you saw that. Of course, of fucking course, Konami.
with Castlevania.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah,
come on.
yeah. Castlevania NFT. They said fuck pachinko machines. Moving on to NFTs. So yeah, they're doing like Castlevania NFTs.
That pissed me off whenever I saw that. It's like,
it's
do they
worse
really
coming from
like
them because they don't even make we know they're the current state of their company. They're not in everybody's good graces still.
Yeah, they're literally for people outside of it, they're just like, whatever. But for people who know and love the game series that this company has made, every single time they talk about something like this, and they're just digging the fucking hole deeper for themselves.
Yep. The first video game company, and this did not go under the radar, but it still wasn't as big as Square Enix. See, the mistake Square Enix made was having their president, I think it was their president, right, give a quote, and he's like, yeah, these are so fucking great. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
But Ubisoft, if you remember, a couple weeks before, like it was like the beginning of December. I'm looking at it on like Google like right now. They not only did they start like some kind of NFT thing that they're apparently gonna incorporate into their games, which is like, stop, please don't. Not only that, they doubled down on it. So they were like, oh yeah, we're totally still going through with this. Although I don't think it's going well, and I fucking hope it doesn't because these things are so stupid, and
NFTs are just they're not good for anybody except the people selling them.
Not good for an environment, not good for your wallet, and they're really only good for the wallet of the person you bought it from.
Yeah.
So, God, these things are so fucking dumb. So there was that, and then one last thing before I get to the Square Enix quote, which I really hated. Sega. So they actually trademarked, I believe, like some kind of NFT thing. I'm looking for it right now. And this is one I thought of last minute, so I don't have it on me. But they said that if gamers seem to think that it's a money-making scheme, they're just going to avoid it altogether. Please do. Please do. Please.
Oh yeah, no, seriously, like
please avoid it. Like,
that's been the tried and true method of like letting companies know your opinion is. If you don't like something, speak with your wallet. Like, don't buy their shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, I'm gonna paraphrase this quote, and I'll put it on screen for you guys. It's this quote right here.
I think I just fucking read it, and it pisses me off even reading it.
Yeah, but the quote from Sega specifically, they say we're trying out experiments, we're looking into it, blah blah blah. But if it's perceived as a money making scheme, we're not gonna do it. Yes. Please, okay, I give you a couple of claps. I'm not gonna give you the full claps until you just go ahead and decide not to do it. But I don't blame companies for researching it. I don't blame companies for researching it. And if a company decides to do it, it's not the end of the world to me. I'm not like, it depends on the company. It depends on this, that, or the other. But that'll bring me to the Square Enix one. So, all right. This, this came, I just want to get this right. This was the president, right? I have to like,
yes.
I cannot believe
the president said this.
I cannot believe that. So it was their New Year's message, right? And the president is basically just like, he's talking about the metaverse and whatever the fuck. I don't even know. But he goes into, and let me find his exact quote because I just had it and I lost it. But he's basically talking about like NFTs, and he's just like, oh, it's something Square Enix is like more than likely definitely gonna do. Why did I lose the quote?
Here's one of his quotes that upset me reading it. I don't know if that's the one you're looking for, but that's what upset me when I was reading it.
Did you send it to me?
Yes, I did.
Yes, no, this is I'll put this on screen. This is the quote that is absolutely infuriating. So basically, like the CEO, the president of Square Enix was all like, oh, I'm going to, we're probably going to do this NFT thing, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And even though we realize it's kind of a niche, this, that, or the other, and then, this was the part of the quote that drove me nuts. He says, I realize that some people who play to have fun, oh, you mean gamers? Jesus. And who currently form the majority of players. So what he's saying is most people are gamers who just want to play to have fun, have voted their reservations towards these new trends, and understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute. So basically, play to give us money, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. So basically what he is saying is we know that like 90% of you think these NFT things are fucking stupid and they're bad for the environment and they don't actually lead to anything, and it's just a fucking like a digitally made economic marketplace that doesn't actually hold any kind of real value and basically is just a money-making scheme that gives us money, you play to contributors. How fucking great of a name is that, huh? Play to contribute. But we don't fucking care, so we're going to go ahead and do it anyways. Wow, God. I would invest, if I had money and they were publicly traded, which they are not, just on that quote alone, I would go ahead and invest another $10,000 into Atlas just to make sure that they make, I already, in my opinion, they are making better games than Square Enix nowadays, but that's just me.
Business-wise, Square Enix is making a lot of questionable.
Well, and let me tell you something, though. Like, in terms of... It doesn't surprise me. A lot of people were surprised with Square Enix by this, and I'm like, I as somebody who follows JRPGs a lot and very closely, I was not super surprised by this, considering, like, when you look at even just, like, you could look at the games that Square Enix makes recently. Now, I like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but make no mistake, a big appeal and part of the fun of that game is seeing those characters, Cloud and all of them, your old friends, the story, in like a 3D, modern, beautiful looking game. A lot of it didn't really come down to the gameplay. Not that the gameplay is like overly bad, but there's a lot of things in there that, like I've said it before, it's just a cutscene, you kind of just walk and stuff like that. I like that game a lot, but when you look at like who is actually making like video games for fun and who is making... Yes, it's a video game, but a lot of it comes down to just, like, cutscenes and, like, how does it look, graphics and stuff. Well, Atlas is making, like, good, quote-unquote, like, actual, like, the art of video game. I think they're doing that art better in the last, honestly, maybe even 20 years than Square Enix. Not that I don't like Square Enix, not that I don't think they're making good video games. It's just that a lot of the stuff that they're doing... I wouldn't necessarily qualify as it like a Miyamoto. He really thinks about like the components that make good gameplay and this, that, and, all that stuff. And like when it comes to these Square Enix games, a lot of them are based on like things like the visuals and technology and stuff like that. And I'm like, I like that stuff, but it's not the important thing. So they definitely have had a focus in recent years on things that I would not consider the most important thing to making a good video game. Once again, they've been successful. I like their games. I'm not trying to say I'm not a Square Enix fan at all. I love Square Enix. But that being said, when they were like, we're doing NFTs, I was like, I am so not surprised, because it is one of those things where it's like, it is not important to making your game good. It's only important to impressing a certain amount of people, just like you impress a certain amount of people when the gameplay could have been totally shit. It wasn't, but the gameplay could have been total shit, and people would have been impressed by Final Fantasy VII Remake because of the graphics, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Seriously.
Like, because nobody would have... let me put you this way. If Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't have crazy updated graphics, and it was still a turn-based, and it was just a remake of the original game with hopefully not a shot-for-shot remake like Pokemon kind of does, but, I don't think anybody would have complained. Like, they would have thought it was the greatest thing ever. Right? See, that's a good example of like, well, they could have put more emphasis on stuff like that, things that, people liked about the original game's gameplay as opposed to just the story or whatever. All I'm trying to say is, to summarize it, it lines
I am
up
not surprised.
with their company policy. I'm not surprised. Like, it does kind of line up, coming from somebody who follows JRPGs and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I could see Square Enix doing NFTs. Atlas... I could see them being interested in researching it. I cannot see them going through with that. I just can't. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will. I hope they don't. I mean, Sega owns Atlas, but,
You really don't want any fucking company to do it. You really hope.
I just realized it's super dark on my camera, so I've been doing like a dark, like a guy in the shadows complaining about NFTs and.
You're like the fucking guy who issues his statement right before he like collapses the fucking government.
I just yeah. Anyways, did you have anything else you wanted to put on the NFTs? We got like 13 minutes to talk about this Yu-Gi-Oh thing, if you. But
let's see.
Which is plenty of time. Plenty of time.
They're stupid. I don't like them.
They're dumb. I
yeah.
don't like them.
I think that like the biggest fucking perpetrator of NFTs, and as a result, like people kind of jumping on the bandwagon, is all those fucking monkeys that have kind of fallen out of the barrel.
Oh my god! I laugh. It kills me every time I'm like on Twitter and the first comment is like hundreds of thousands of likes. That's like fuck NFTs, and then there's like the one comment of a guy responding, and he has like the monkey, like he bought one. He's like, "What do you know about it?"
Yeah, no,
like it kills.
Those fucking things, man.
It's so funny.
I don't know how the fuck people manage to like make those so damn popular. They're the biggest like force behind why so many people are looking into fucking NFTs now.
Yeah, the Bored Ape thing or whatever. And then they have that awful looking TV show to go along, whatever that is. Like,
yeah, like that shit's fucking awful.
It always cracks me up though. Like every time I see that, I'm just like, oh, there's one of the bros like underneath.
Yeah.
They think they're playing with the big boys on Wall Street. That's what it is. It gives them a sense of importance. But yeah. Anyways,
yeah, I got what I wanted to say.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I'm excited. This is definitely one of those topics that like it pertains to. Oh, excuse me, I did not mean to play the trailer. If you guys heard that, it definitely pertains to something like our stream, and
I could totally see us playing this game for like as a stream, like dueling against each other.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah. Like
I've been trying to think of ways to incorporate because it's so okay. 2 years ago. So this is the 4th year. Can you believe that? 4th year that I've been streaming. As of it'll be the 4th year in March or May. I can't remember which it was. Ever since I started Let's Go Eevee. And I've always tried to find a way, the second year I realized, like, how can I incorporate, thank you for the donation or whatever that was, somebody. I should have probably turned those off, but, it's you, NFT. That's all right. I'll just leave it on and ignore it. I didn't even think about that, and sorry. But yeah, in the second year, one of the things I had realized is I'm not always having fun streaming these games that, people like play it and then I play it. And, we discussed that with Majora's Mask. I didn't have a lot of fun with that because everybody was like, play it. We played it. No one watched. And I was like, not only did I not really want to play this, but no one's watching. So one of the things I was thinking of when I was like, how can I make this stream better? It's like, I need to play things that I really want to play. What are some of the things I absolutely love? And, there was a couple topics that I still have not figured out how to incorporate. Blaze Blue is one. Well, the biggest reason for that is there hasn't been a new Blaze Blue besides Cross Tag Battle in years now. But we had Guilty Gear, so I finally kind of got to do that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was one of the biggest ones. I was like, I would love to, like, duel on stream or something. I even thought about, like, doing it live, like if I had a camera set up somehow and we dueled I was like, that'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And
I would love to do that.
They had a couple, Yu-Gi-Oh games, and they have YGO on the PC, although keep in mind at the time my PC wasn't up to snuff. So I kind of put it on the back burner for a while. I was like, someday I got to incorporate Yu-Gi-Oh because it's one of the things I love the most that a lot of people who watch the stream might not know that, how much like I like it. And so when they announced there's going to be like a YGO, but it's like crossplay and all that stuff, and everybody can play it.
And it's official. It's official.
And it's official. I was just like, I think this is finally it. And I had reservations. Are they going to charge a little bit? Well, obviously you have to buy the game. I don't think it's free. But essentially, the biggest question was, are they going to like charge for cards?
And yeah, like fucking the whole loot box system? Are they going to have like, you could spend in-game money to get booster packs, or you could spend like $5, like $5 real,
Sure.
and get some good cards,
Because as much as I'm actually not completely against that, believe it or not, depending on how they incorporate it, like if I would prefer they do something like they're like, hey, you can buy a deck for $5 and it comes with, like, it's a real structure deck that you can buy in store right now, or maybe you buy the actual structure deck and they give it to you in the game for free. Pokemon did something like that for a while.
Yeah. The other thing I could see, like, them like sort of like I even am kind of like still like I feel like I don't know how I feel about it, but like, card arts, like they could, offer that as like a little thing. Would be
Yeah.
like, you could buy different card arts for the same card, but
So
I don't even know about that part.
yeah, so here's the thing that I was like, they'll have to keep this in mind. Whether they like it or not, they are competing with YGO. So if you don't know YGO, it's basically what a lot of the pros of Yu-Gi-Oh have been using. It's just a Yu-Gi-Oh simulator. Anybody can download it. It's free. It's crowd-funded type of thing. You can donate to the people who make it and stuff, but they're not actually allowed to make a profit off of selling the actual game. So, but a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh pros use it because Yu-Gi-Oh up until this point has not had like an official online way to like practice competitively with people, and it really, really needed it. And so when they announced this, it got me hyped, and like I said, I had some of those reservations. But now that there's some videos coming out, I'm feeling a lot better about it. They have 3. I'm on their European YouTube. They have, so the first one just shows like you can have a profile, keeps track of stats and stuff like a fighting game kind of thing. The second one is actually a solo mode, which is intriguing. It's not the main reason to buy this game, but if you don't know, it's the first time that they're actually going to have, so this game does not have the story of the show or anything like that. It's not the main focus of this game. They really didn't even need a solo mode, in my opinion. It could have just been competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, like YGO. You look up the cards.
Like,
but they are having a solo mode where it explores the lore of certain archetypes.
That's cool. That's fucking cool.
Which is cool because they've never done. Now these cards do have lores, but they've never actually like really written them down and stuff. Like if you look at the lore of, I'm trying to think, like Burning Abyss has a lore, right? The Charmer cards, like Area the Water Charmer, and so those all have like some kind of lore, but nobody knows what they are because they never like put them in the games or anything like that. So they are actually doing that. I don't know which ones. I could try to look at the solo mode video.
I'm pretty sure that one of them is the Monarchs.
I could see that. That would be an easy one to. Let me see here. So that one.
Let's see. I see Monarchs, Exodia.
Yeah, the Absolute Emperor is the Monarchs for sure, because that's like the I don't know, Duel Strategy. Oh, I see. So they have different names. I'm not sure if I know any of these actually. Although I would imagine Absolute Emperor is like the Dark Monarch, whatever. It's gonna explore the lore. That's what you need to know. But
yeah, they have so many archetypes.
All of that stuff is great, but the main thing is like, is this going to be a replacement for YGO? Well, it will kind of depend on money, right? Like if they do start charging a shit ton into.
Yeah.
But the deck building video is the one that got me hyped because finally we can see like, okay, you can obviously build a deck. You can have up to 20 decks. I think they're going to have to up that, to be quite honest. Like for a lot of competitive players,
there's a limit of 20 decks
as of right now.
Holy shit! Yeah, they're gonna. That's because I mean, you're gonna want a deck for literally everything,
right? Especially when you have. So the biggest question with all of this is, do you have the entire archive of Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Because that's what's really important, right? That's what YGO does. And on your note, YGO does have the alternate art for a lot of cards. Even if it's like the Bandai versions of the cards, which go look those up if you haven't, which is like weird. But they have every single different variant of every card ever made, including, I think, rarities, but it doesn't matter. So they kind of like show like you can build decks. They show like they have a lot of neat little customized things. Like right here, I'm looking at the screen where it's like you can like they're making a Blue Eyes deck, right? And when you hover over the deck with your controller or cursor or whatever, you can set 3 main cards that'll pop out to show you like what kind of deck you're looking at. So they have a Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, and a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon come out of the deck. So it's just nice little UI things like that, right?
Oh, it'd like to like give you an idea of what the deck is.
Yeah,
like
yeah. So like
okay.
it says, what are the 3 main cards in your deck? So you pick the 3 main cards, and when you hover over it, when you're looking at your decks, if you hover over the one that says Blue Eyes White Dragon, those 3 cards will like pop out, just like a little animation. It's really cool. Yeah. So there's a lot of like really cool UI things like that. But so I was looking at like the biggest question is, can you like search for cards throughout the entirety of the game? And I do believe I'm trying to look for it right now. I think you can. So I think they have the entire pool of Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever. Now, do you start out with them? I would fucking hope so. But I don't think you do because there's a lot of cards that like, so you can look it up. Like here in the video, I don't know why you would ever want this card in your deck, but they're looking up like, can you get Sen-Gen? That's a card.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, in your deck. It's an old normal type monster.
Oh my god.
And, you click on it and it'll tell you how to obtain it. So you don't actually have all of them. I understand they kind of want you to work for some of these things, but I think it's a little bit of a mistake because if they're going to use this as a competitive thing, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I don't want to build up. But if this is meant to be a long-lasting Yu-Gi-Oh game for competitions, hopefully it is. We'll get there. I hope. But if there's one thing Konami knows what they're doing, it's with Yu-Gi-Oh. They have not fucked up Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh's been pretty solid for a really long time, whether it's the competitive scene or whatever, right? So
yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. So you can generate the cards. Like it says that you have craft points. So that's one way you can get these cards. How do you get craft points? I assume just by dueling. Hopefully you don't have to buy them. I wouldn't be surprised if this has loot boxes.
Yeah.
But then again, it might not be loot boxes. It might be more along the lines of like, all I know is that at the main menu, it says there's a shop. Do you have to pay real money for that shop, or is there something you earn in-game? We don't really know yet. There's actually... Oh, yeah, this is tomorrow. They're going to show off more of the game.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so...
I actually saw the main screen that you just had up on your computer, and it if you go back to where the Blue Eyes is, you can actually see that it looks like they're going to have some sort of challenge system like they do with other live
missions,
service games.
You're right. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. Nonetheless, I'm still really excited for a lot of this. We'll just see how it plays out when it comes out. I'm hoping, if there is loot boxes and stuff, it's not like the most predatory thing ever. But I'm really excited. We got to stream some of this, and hopefully it's good when it comes out.
I would love
I haven't dueled. We've never dueled on stream, but this is it. This is our chance. I am so excited. If you can't tell, I'm just clicking at all these pictures, looking.
Like I just want to play Yu-Gi-Oh
so cool.
right now.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest, I just want to fucking play Yu-Gi-Oh right now.
I do too. I can't.
Oh wait.
Synchro of Unity starting deck. So yeah. And like, I know in the profile video they showed like, oh, the guy picked like they have like a set list of cards, like, the Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon is his background and stuff. So in this video, that's what it is here, but it doesn't have to be that. So there's a lot of like little customizable things that, this is competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. I hope it's good. We still don't have enough information, but it's coming out really soon. It was supposed to come out late last year. It did not. So, anyways, I think that's all I have on that. I think that's all I have on everything, unless there's anything you want to add to that.
I mean, it's kind of way past that. I have a couple things, actually. I did actually kind of come up with a generalized, like, number, I guess you could say, for, like, what the Nintendo Switch's library is. If I'm not completely wrong, it could be anywhere in, like, the 210 game range, and that's sold that much.
210?
210 games.
That's
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be. There's no way it's that little. It has to be more than that.
I mean, it could be. So what I did was I went onto like the Nintendo website and I looked at all the Switch games and I just counted, how many games were on the page, and then I just looked at how I counted up how many pages were and I multiplied it. So
You
like
might be right, actually. Okay, so I'm looking. This is completely off topic, but we can totally end with this. It's fine. Well, there was 88 games released in 2017. Doesn't say. I have the list of games 2018, but it doesn't give me a number. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it is, or I find that a little hard to believe. I don't know.
know, right?
Of course, that doesn't include. It doesn't include the digital library, but which I guess to be fair, would probably have to include. But it very well could be. Dude, the Switch is an incredible console.
It's to have like without the like the digital library, to have like only 210-ish, 200-ish games and have sold that many fucking systems. That's actually fucking insane. That's unbelievable. Really fucking good for them. Hopefully they, continue to perform really well with it.
Yeah, Gunner said there's a lot of indie games, but I could believe it for physical cartridges. That's kind of what I was thinking too, though. Yeah, but anyways, if there's anybody who has any comments, but I don't see any. Otherwise, I think that would be the end of our first streamcast. I'm sorry that the light was dark. I didn't realize it looked that dark on camera. So I promise next time I won't look like I'm in the shadows, talking, ranting about NFTs and shit. Yes, NFTs suck. Gunner said that. So.
Oh, thanks, Gunner. Thank you for your input.
And obviously, going forward to anybody can comment. I'm not saying don't leave comments during the streamcast. I'm just saying as of right now, I think our plan is to kind of we will acknowledge the comments. We just will wait till the end. I'll probably reiterate that a couple times next time, but
you could also incorporate it. You could make a layout where it's you have your face on one part, you have the computer screen on another part, and then you could have a little notice box that says I see your comments, but we'll respond to them later or something.
Right. For now, that's kind of the format we're looking at. We'll do this every 2 weeks. That was the first streamcast. I hope you liked it, and it'll last longer than the Spicy Salsa podcast. I promise you that.
I remember that.
That was 13 episodes. So yeah, I think we'll end it there. As long as nobody has anything they want to say, there's no comments that look like I have.
I just have kind of a brag. I told you this earlier, but I found out that I do actually have that fucking first generation Charizard.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. I remember saying it one time, and I was like, maybe I don't.
Picture. That's right.
But then my brother was looking through cards today, and I went up to him and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to look through some cards too. When he fucking found it, and I was like, holy shit, how much is this thing worth? And it's $340.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think I have that one. I have to look through my Pokemon cards. I do have the originals, but I haven't looked at them in years. So
I lost some of my originals because back when we were kids, a lot of parents thought that things like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon were the devil. So I was one of those unfortunate souls. I had at the time, most of my collection thrown away, so I had to rebuild. Yeah.
If only they knew how much money that would be worth.
Oh my god, those parents would be fucking kicking their asses right now.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we'll end it there though. I don't have anything else to say on anything. So thanks for joining the first streamcast. Thanks for the sub, Gunner and Josh earlier, but Gunner just subbed 25 months. So out of the almost 4 years been streaming, you've been here for 2 of them, which is awesome. Well, and probably longer because who knows, there might be a month you didn't sub. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for joining the streamcast. We'll have another one in 2 weeks. As of right now, I have 0 topics for it, so I can't tell you what's going to be on the next one.
That's why they're every 2 weeks.
So, yep. Because especially right now, news cycle's really slow for gaming, as you guys might know. So, I will be streaming not Saturday, not Sunday, probably not Monday night. But I will be doing 2 streams a week from now on. I will be doing 2 next week. I'm going to try, like I've said in the recent streams, really hard to make sure I do that all year, with the exception of 10 days. 10 days that I give myself off. And I will let people know that on Twitter when, when I'm like, I don't feel like streaming this week a second time. There you go. So yeah, thanks for joining you guys, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yep. See ya.